And that's the view from Paiya this morning. And we're gonna be walking or heading this way. And Lukla is most likely just underneath that peak, somewhere down there. Good morning. Today is day 5 of our travel, May 16. Yesterday we had a 5-hour walk and we had to call it a day at Paiya. Today we are going to Lukla. It's a lot of downhill from here to Surke, and from Surke it's uphill again. So it's going to be a pretty strenuous day. Hopefully about 6-7 hours of walking total. We're gonna have a quick breakfast here in Paiya and depart. Yesterday it was good for Chhitiz also. Very silent and quiet day. A day of reflection in some ways. And the weather seems to be clearing, hopefully slightly better. We can see some peaks in the background. Today if we reach Lukla, then we may push a little further depending on what time we get there. If not, then Lukla it is. Most likely if it is Lukla, then I'll stay at the same lodge I stayed last time. And 4th day of walking. Body wise, slightly sore here and there, but I think I was the most sore when we reached Jubing day 1 evening. I was absolutely torn apart, but slowly recovering from that and gaining some strength again. Yesterday walk was pretty difficult, especially because of the amount of donkey poop and just too much mud all over the place, and it was slippery, and there's even trails and trails of caravan of donkeys going up and down, bringing the supplies to the area. And at some points I had to literally sit down and let them pass. It was that ridiculously jam-packed. There was like 2 caravans coming from one direction, 2 from the other. So it was a different kind of a traffic jam here. Normally in the city life we encounter vehicles and we get frustrated about the traffic, and there's traffic in the mountains as well. The only difference is it's donkeys, not people. So today also I'm expecting the first 4 hours of the trail to be very similar. And then when we reach Surke, we're at the bank of the Dudkoshi river. And the Surke river come and joins the Dudkoshi river, one of the tributaries. That's the juncture we're trying to get to. From there on, then it's all up, 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 up. So looking forward for a good, productive day. Bye-bye.
20 minutes uphill. You need to know where the औकात is. यो ठाउँको नाम पत्ता लगाउँदा है, यही छ बोर्ड. छेउबास. Okay, let's make the coffee in. यस्तै ठाउँलाई जुबिङ भन्दो रहेछ नि. गाविस एउटै होला. जुबिङ हामी त्यो अस्ति बसेको ठाउँदेखि स्टार्ट भयो, तलसम्म कतासम्म छ. यही यो सुर्के खोलासम्म हो एउटा गाविस. Okay, so we are at Chobas, maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours away from Surke, and maybe 4 hours away from Lukla. And this morning the weather looked okay, but the weather keeps changing so quickly, and there's no point planning like a long version of this trip at all, because your decisions will change according to the situation, and I think adaptability comes into play, your attitude comes into play. I like to take things slow, and I think we walked about an hour and a half from our night stop yesterday from Paiya, and we're taking a coffee break. So, and Chhitiz and I were talking about like how mentorship can play. Mentorship was the topic, and when I think of mentors, like in my life, I didn't really have people that spend a lot of time with me and like coached me things, that sort of a thing. But I had many stints with these mentors. I had, especially with the traveling part, I think one of my greatest mentor was the frontman of Nepatya, Amrit Gurung. I had an opportunity to interview him back in 2012-11 as a part of a project I was working with a couple of guys, and I had an opportunity to talk to him, and we talked over coffee for about 2 hours, and I asked him things like why he does his travels, and he described it as exactly like I was describing in the earlier videos, as a sabbatical, where he takes a break from being a father, a frontman of a rock band, everything, and he just goes into the nature with his camera and just immerses himself in it. And I also like to imagine that, I'm fond of that, and he was a mentor for me in that regard, that he pointed out why it was also important in terms of learning. Like the point I made to Chhitiz yesterday was, we may read 1,000 books, but if you ask people to pull down like a paragraph, unless they've really memorized the book or something, but if you tell them, okay, tell me what was on page now this, it's very difficult to go back to that point.
Yes.
But if you ask somebody about their travel, like what happened on this day and when this happened, if you just kind of joggle them a little bit, they'll go exactly right back to that point. And I think it is about selective memory also. We tend to select those kind of fond memories or fond things, happy times, present times when we were really actually very present in that moment. We tend to go back to those points very easily, and they tend to be useful in terms of meditation also. Like Chhitiz was saying yesterday, we did the slow walk, and
it was meditative.
It was very meditative for him.
And, actually, I couldn't.
How could you use that in city life? One, I think.
Actually, the main purpose of the slow walk was to get yourself aware of your all senses and organs, how they react to the nature, the environment you have been living in, and beyond that, I achieved something more. I think I'm quite sure I achieved thoughtlessness, and going back to city life, it will definitely help me slowing down when chaotic situations happen, and I can go back to the afternoon in Paiya, into the misty fog, and
use that,
and I don't know,
use that to meditate and
think of how I walked about approximately 300 meters in about 110 minutes, and 110 minutes to walk just 300 meters, and I wasn't aware that I took so much time. And when Ashish asked me, I thought it was about 45 minutes, but I don't know when. The meditative state was so much prevalent in my mind that I couldn't take record of the time I had passed in that lane.
Yeah, and it's important because we're on almost autopilot when we're in our day-to-day life, because we're just bouncing off things based on our circumstances, and not really like. So how does this exercise help you is when I am in a situation where things are really chaotic, then it allows me to take a step back and kind of slow things down, listen to what people are saying. I'm more observant, I'm more alert, and I'm less reactive. Rather, I'm proactive. If I say something in that situation or I behave in a certain way, then I'm not reacting. I'm actually thinking this is what I need to do, and I'm acting on it.
Actually, I missed the point. The main cause of downfall of any kind of attitude is reacting to any circumstances they occur in your life, and slowing down a bit and assessing the situation and actually thinking of what can be done in a proactive manner can help definitely in a, I don't know, uprising fashion.
In any career, in family, in real life situation, I've also observed is a lot of times when like things, everybody's like panicking.
Yes.
I was also in a car accident back in 2004. And when that car accident happened, I felt this in a very weird way, in a very unnatural way in some way, because we got into a collision with a 18-wheeler truck and our tail was spun and we took like a 2-spin. There was my friend Suman Satyal, who I talk about, the scientist, who is discovering planets and whatnot. And we were in the same car, Suman, I, and Samrat, another friend of mine. And when that car spun, for that about 10-second or 6-second, time slowed down. And I saw everything happen in slow motion, absolute slow motion. And I just, like I talked about the traveling part, even this I remember second by second. Like how I looked at Samrat and how that car was spinning, what time of the day it was. Suman was in the back and maybe a couple of thoughts went through my head rapidly. So, you know, that was done in a natural way. What happened with Chhitiz yesterday was done in a very intense, intentional way. By intending to slow things down. I had asked him to do it for 30 minutes and I vlogged while he was walking. And I said, man, this boy is going to take 1.5 hours. I'm going to sit here waiting for him. And he actually did take 1.5 hours. I made a right assessment.
Almost 2 hours.
Almost 2 hours. So it matters that sometimes in life, it is best. You don't always have to come to the Himalayas. That's not the point we're trying to make. The point is that even if it is just getting out of your house and going to the local temple or a park, a walk in the nature,
or just a lawn
outside your house, walking barefoot in your lawn, those things really do change your mindset, your attitude, and it helps you with like day-to-day stress and pressure and that sort of things. So from Chhibas, Solukhumbu, this is Ashish Adhikari and this is
Chhitiz.
Signing off. Bye-bye. And our quest to do the podcast from the top of the world is on. This is day 5 and it'll probably be 20-some days before we head back to Kathmandu and we'll tell you guys about this. So keep watching.
We are currently walking past Surke. We just had a break, lunch break at Surke. We had noodles with eggs and we're headed towards Lukla right now. So the lady in the tea house told us that it will be about 2 hours climb to Lukla from Surke, and Asida is walking ahead of me. I hope we'll get to Lukla before we encounter rain, because the weather is turning out to be quite shitty right now. It's foggy and cloudy, and I'm also feeling a bit of wind, so I hope it doesn't rain right now.
Hello. Today, May 16, 2:15. Chhitiz and I making the way up to Lukla from Surke. It is strenuously uphill from Surke to, that's a 500 meter elevation gain, 5,500. And doing this with 2 pieces of bread and egg and some noodles in the afternoon. And with some rain giving us trouble. It keeps teasing us. It looks like it's gonna rain. We get our rain gear out and it stops, and we keep climbing up, and it looks like it's gonna rain again. So this is non-stop in the mountains, especially if you're coming here during this season, which is the late spring, early monsoon. I don't know what you call this season, but pre-monsoon. That's what Mr. Bhaiti says. So maybe another 2 hours to Lukla. Keep you posted on the way. Love the dozer. You like dozer? Hello, right now, what is it? 4:30? 4:30. 4:30 something, and we are in Lukla after freshening up. We arrived here around 3:30. I'm staying at the same place as where I stayed last time, meeting the same people. And from tomorrow, Lukla to probably Monjo, and from Monjo to Namche. The way from here should be easy, not as tough as the terrain we just tackled in the last 2-3 days. So this is right next to the Lukla airport, and I will keep you posted. On Everest, 29th May 1953. Today is 16th. Maybe on top of Kalapatthar. Maybe. See, I see serendipity everywhere.
Yes.
And we are trying Ili coffee at its outlet in Lukla with a sweet treat. Good job to Chhitiz so far. So enjoy the chocolate cake and espresso. Così.
अझै एउटा देखाउनु